Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I see we've got our delegates in the room already, and we certainly have our speakers in the room. A very warm welcome to our speakers this morning. Welcome to our webinar titled Localization, Keeping It Close to Home. How important is that? Localization, keeping it close to home. Thank you for joining us this morning. A special welcome to one of our speakers, a friend of our campaign, whose company is a member, Tony from OBC Group. Thank you for joining us this morning, Tony. We also have a pre-recording from one of our other members who is associated with the OBC Group as well, Makamisa, and they're going to give us a bit of a testimonial this morning. We also have a newfound friend of the campaign in Karen. Good morning, welcome, Karen. Karen is from RCL Foods. We're working very closely with Karen lately on an incredible campaign called One Meal, Many Thanks. Thank you for joining us this morning, Karen. And then we have Spare. Spare is from AB and Bev, SAB, another friend of the campaign, or and AB and Bev is a member, and Spare is the marketing manager for Casa Lager, who's going to talk to us later on and share the Casa Lager journey. And then we have another testimonial from Kevali Chemicals Group. Kevali Chemicals Group is a supplier of some of the key components that AB InBev uses in some of their products, which is great. Looking forward to this very important discussion. Welcome everybody, welcome to the attendees already that are already online. Today, the title of this webinar reflects the role and capacity we all have to play in making buy local decisions. And we hope that it will illustrate the importance of the economy of the country to its growth and restructuring of making such decisions. And so whether you are representing a company here today, or you simply a supplier or a consumer rather yourself, you still require a basic number of items to function on a day-to-day basis. In a business environment, it might be desks, it might be chairs, it might be stationery, maybe uniforms, as well as the raw material inputs into your manufacturing or production process. They all need to be sourced from somewhere, and preferably be sourced locally. But we'll get into that discussion shortly. What if you bought as many items as possible in your supply chain at work or at home from local manufacturers? What formidable difference does that make? Does that purchasing decision make? Think of the value for the local economy, the reduction in your carbon print, shorter delivery and lead times, and the advantages of increasing levels of localization through your supply chain are multiple. So with that said, we are hoping that by the end of this webinar, you will have a deeper understanding of the importance of localization, which then takes me to my next part of the presentation. So I will be facilitating the session. Oh, by the way, I'm sleeping on the job. I forgot to introduce myself. I introduced everybody else, and I forgot to introduce myself. So my name is Happy Ngidi, and I am the Executive Manager, Marketing and Communications at Proudly South African. So, and today I'm facilitating this webinar on behalf of Proudly South African, but I'll also just do a brief presentation that speaks directly to the discussion that we have today. So I'll be focusing a little bit on MAP, which is the market access platform that we are robustly working on with some of our stakeholders, to try and make the difference that we all want to see. So the presentation I'm about to share with you really just gives you a fuller understanding, if you like, of what our discussion here today is about, and what it is that we are hoping to achieve with this presentation. And so without further ado, on your screen you see a slide that speaks to the local procurement commitments. And this is really just, emanates from the DOP Summit that was held in the country, I think it was 2 years ago, that was hosted by the president of the country. And it is to give effect to the local procurement commitments of the private sector in the Job Summit framework agreement that is in place. And there is a local procurement technical working team called the TWC that has been set up, and it seeks to advocate the reason why rather it was put in place is that it's meant to ensure that a holistic approach is implemented and encompassing short to long-term measures to ensure that local procurement remains at the center of the economy recovery plan, which we now know as the economy recovery plan, given the announcement that was made by the president a little over 3 weeks ago. And needless to say, it takes us as a collective to work on that economy recovery plan for the benefit of our own economy as South Africans. So this the technical working team is made up of proudly South African, as I've said already. There's also the NBI involved in a manufacturing circle. South African Breweries is a big part of this committee, Business Leadership South Africa, and now known as P4 SA. And the ask from the technical working committee to the private sector is a very simple one. What we are asking for is for the private corporate South Africa to review their procurement practices and to give preference in all cases possible to companies that are manufacturing locally. We understand that there may be dynamics in place that may complicate some of the procurement practices, already, but we are saying where possible for corporate South Africa to give preference to manufacturing, to companies that manufacture locally. We're also asking to make procurement commitments to give preference through the entire supply chain to local manufacturers. Earmark procurement opportunities for companies manufacturing locally, and to utilize a procurement portal that influences localization and transformation to refer and find high-performing suppliers and advertise procurement opportunities. So these may be simply locally made substitutions, such as, things that we ordinarily use in our households or in our offices, for our kitchens, our bathrooms, workspace, or that type of thing. And we simply urge, corporate South Africa to relook at their technical specifications for equipment, which may be in the past may have been precluded, that may have precluded local companies from pitching for tenders. The challenge is simply directed towards industry bodies and associations in South Africa, corporate companies, as I've mentioned earlier, procurement decision makers, very key, because therein lies the purse and or the wallet for your respective offices. And independent entities such as schools, particularly private schools and all government schools for that matter. I mean, you know, every time you see a building go up, whether it's a new school or a new corporate building, one thing is certain. In that building, they will need some sort of furniture, you know, whether it's tables and chairs or desks for schools, whatever the case may be. You know, they're going to have to buy from somewhere. And last but not least, we challenge captains of industry and boards and CEOs and CFOs and procurement officers, as it were. So the localization commitments from the private sector is that, you know, we are asking them, number one, to commit to increasing local procurement, you know, in line with the Job Summit commitments from banks to buy local furniture. As I, you know, the previous slide, that's exactly what I alluded to, that if you see a building, you know, mushroom in any suburb in South Africa, or, you know, every now and then, you know, banks would have to you know, redesign their offices or redecorate, whatever the case may be. They need to buy whatever it is that they need from somewhere, and preferably they would, you know, prefer or change their buying decisions to give priority to locally manufactured goods that they need. Number two, increase local content, you know, in their manufacturing. Specifically talking to, you know, clothing manufacturers such as TFG, Mr. Price, Louis, OBC, you know, increasing their local content. And OBC is here to tell their story, and they've done a commendable job in that space. Number three, increase local content usage, raw materials, components, etc., in the production processes. You know, companies such as SAB, Coca-Cola Beverages, as you know, SAB is here to tell their story today. Sourcing of raw materials, if that could be done locally. And last but not least, lobbying market access support for SMMEs that manufacture local products and services. I mean, it's one thing for us to, and I think we all in agreement that, you know, SMMEs and entrepreneurship is key for the economy of the country. But if all of those SMMEs and entrepreneurs do not have formidable and tangible access to market opportunities, then it defeats the purpose. So that businesses do not stand a chance. You know, and it is in the same spirit that Proudly South African, a year, just over a year ago, we approached the Franchise Association of South Africa, you know, and introduced their business model to Black-owned SMEs for opportunities that are desperately needed by these companies. And just to elaborate on the market access platform context, is that, however, and you know, there's quite a few challenges that remain, and that we, as the technical working committee, are mindful of. You know, these are not going to go away overnight, but you know, over time, you know, we hope and believe that we will find ways around these. For example, finding vetted manufacturers according to local content requirements at acceptable industry standard levels of quality, with the capacity to keep up with the demand required from large organizations. That is a reality, and it's a persistent challenge, but there's ways and means. It takes a lot of engaging, and it takes a lot of willingness to find ways around making these challenges you know, go away, or finding ways to make these work. Finding high-performing, transformed suppliers across all categories, and bridging the gap between buyers' expectations and suppliers' capabilities, a reality that none of us can underplay. And suppliers' over-reliance on limited key accounts, And so MAP is an online, has an online portal that influences localization and transformation. It enables corporates to refer, to find, and to rate vetted, high-performing, transformed suppliers across all industries. So what is the joining criteria? Just briefly and quickly, you know, when from a corporate member perspective, the turnover has got to be 50 million or more, and you know, there's a compliance expectation thrown into it, because you know the corporate members have got to be regulated by the likes of CIPC, SARS, and BBBEE. There's got to be a national footprint and beyond our borders. Positive reputation, of course, goes without saying. It's one thing for us to say support local, buy local, but the reputation is going to be positive, but also you know, there's going to be good quality products. You cannot underplay the importance thereof. Supply chain synergies and committed transformation and localization, very key. When it comes to suppliers, what do we look out for? Preference for suppliers with the 51% leg ownership, and no turnover limit. And the requirements considered for transformation has to have supplied corporate member within the last 12 months. There's got to be tangible history, you know, and history that is current, not anything beyond 12 months. The corporate member must have procured 50,000 from the supply in the last 12 months. And the BE as status has got to be BBBE status has got to be level 1 to level 4, and 50% local content, no exceptions there, and high quality programs, high quality vetted products rather. Private sector. What we are looking for is that vetted members, the quality has got to be, you know, good quality, and local content is another requirement that cannot be compromised. To identify items, products for localization, ring-fenced, and identify suitable companies on Proudly SA database and in partnership with industry bodies and TIC sector desks. Remember that the database that is housed by Proudly South African, we've done the due diligence in terms of, you know, we've vetted the products. We are sure that they're definitely made locally. We are sure that, you know, there isn't a middleman where they procure a product from elsewhere and then just market it as a proudly South African and locally made product. We go through 4 criteria before a brand is acknowledged as or a product rather is acknowledged as a proudly South African product that has gone through stringent vetting processes. The criteria briefly that we look at is local content. Secondly is quality. Thirdly is environmental standards in the course of doing business. As a, you know, when you manufacture your product, do you expose you know, anybody to any sort of danger, and last but not least is the labor laws of the country. In the course of doing your business, you have to conform to the labor laws of the country. You know, and corporates and their buyers, they have to register on MAP, including advertising their tenders. Buyers and suppliers have to transact. That is what we encourage, and evaluation, monitoring and reporting thereof is also very critical. Last Friday, we hosted this webinar, and it was hosted by the Technical Working Committee, and on localization. Keynote address was given by Minister Ibrahim Patel of the TIC, and in the room we had corporate South Africa, you're represented by their CEOs and procurement officers and all of that. And the discussion was really about localization and getting commitments from the private sector. And it was, the session was hosted by all those entities that you see at the bottom of the invitation, at the bottom of the agenda. A very robust discussion from all the entities represented, represented by these stakeholders. Very good insights from the Minister of Trade and Industry, about his thought process around this issue, aligning it closely with the economy, the President's economy recovery plan, urging, the private sector to do the right thing and commit accordingly. For us as a nation, as a people, as South Africa, to be able to realize the objectives and that we are hoping to achieve. Yes, and that was the last slide in my presentation. And without further ado, just to to summarize what I took you through, with this presentation, I'd like us to play I think it's a 2-minute map, a video that really just summarizes, like I say, what I've shared with you already. May I please request that technical help us with sharing the video? Thanks a lot.
Large companies operating in South Africa recognize the long-term strategic benefit of current legislation focusing on transformation and corporate's responsibility to localize supply chains beyond philanthropic reasons and to comply with legislation. Corporates are increasingly investing in enterprise and supply development initiatives. However, a number of challenges remain. Finding vetted manufacturers according to local content requirements at acceptable industry standard levels of quality, with the capacity to keep up with demand required from large organizations. Finding high-performing, transformed suppliers across all categories, bridging the gap between buyers' expectations and suppliers' capabilities, and suppliers' over-reliance on limited key accounts. Searching for suppliers is a key step in the procurement process. The suppliers need to meet the company's expectations regarding cost, capacity, quality, deadline, as well as performance. Introducing Market Access Platform, your preferred portal to source localized and transformed suppliers. Market Access Platform, MAP, is an online portal that influences localization and transformation. It enables corporates to refer, find, and rate vetted high-performing transformed suppliers, local service providers, and manufacturers across industries, thereby creating market access for suppliers while mitigating the risks associated with sourcing from unfamiliar companies. Buyers are able to find reliable and vetted localized and transformed suppliers, refer their high-performing transformed suppliers, local manufacturers, and service providers to MAP, thereby enabling them to grow and become more competitive, advertise procurement opportunities, support the growth of their own high-performing suppliers, increase competitiveness in sourcing, reduce the cost of sourcing, rate services received from suppliers, view the socio-economic impact of their commercial activity with selected suppliers, and record and monitor their localization procurement commitments. Suppliers are able to increase their visibility in a cross-industry marketplace, find other suppliers to procure from, and view tenders when published. Benefits and unique selling proposition. Buyer benefits. Contribute towards a localized and transformed supply chain. Retain and create jobs. Enable the sustainability of suppliers by creating market access opportunities. And contribute to the growth of the economy by favoring local manufacturers and service providers by increasing local demand. Supplier benefits, corporate visibility, gauge client satisfaction, B2B opportunities, buying from other suppliers, and attend proudly South African events and be exposed to the collective National Buy Local campaign, calling on both private and public sectors, as well as consumers, to procure locally. We are therefore calling on corporate South Africa to review and secure procurement practices and give preference in all cases possible to companies that are manufacturing locally. Utilize MAP to influence localization and transformation. Refer and find high-performing suppliers. Advertise procurement opportunities. And record and monitor localization procurement commitments. Market Access Platform, your preferred portal to source localized and transformed suppliers.
Thank you so much, team. And I'm hoping that the video you've just seen gives you a better, appreciation and a better understanding of what MAP seeks to achieve. I think I spotted a question from the Q&A platform where someone wants to know, Guy Harris wants to know if we will share this presentation, and the answer is yes, with the greatest of pleasure. If you could please email info@proudlysa.co.za, info@proudlysa.co.za, and we'll gladly share the presentation with you. So as I conclude my part of the presentation, I want to just quickly talk about our generic campaign as Proudly South African. Many of you who are sitting in this audience will know that we are the official Buy Local campaign of the country. We are mandated to, educate South Africans about the importance of buying locally manufactured products and the importance of supporting locally manufactured products and services in an effort to make a difference in our own economy, and in an effort to keep people employed, and create more jobs. And we believe that our campaign couldn't be more relevant during this time, or during these unprecedented times in particular. So outside the work that we do with this MAP program, as you've seen, we still have a huge responsibility, to work with all other industries such as agro-processing, manufacturing, clothing and textile sector, the poultry sector, pharmaceutical sector, etc., etc. And we do have a generic campaign called Game Time Mzansi that seeks to summarize the narrative of Proudly South African into a very emotive message that seeks to really just remind South Africans about the importance of buying local. And this is on the back of a soccer analogy, if you like, where we briefly, when we came up with the message, we're saying in a soccer game, when two teams, the one team is winning and the one team is behind, and it's halftime, they go to the changing room, and the coach will say to his team, listen, when we go back onto the pitch, we've got to come back and win the game. We've got to do something and win the game. And this is the context of our Game Time Mzansi message, where we are saying to South Africans, the pandemic has forced us to pause as a people, to pause and rethink our loyalty to local products and local services. That in the 8 months during hard lockdown, South African products have carried us as a nation. And now the second half is about to begin, where we need to all work towards ensuring that we, for a lack of a better word, resuscitate our own economy. So with that said, that's the end of my presentation. The Game Time Mzansi commercial is 60 seconds, and then we will go straight into our second speaker of the day. Technical, may I have Game Time Mzansi, please?
The second half is about to begin. We need to change the scoreboard. It's time for all of us to pause and rethink the game plan in order to save the future. I call on all of us to be game changers because greatness isn't reserved only for some people. By buying local, we're choosing to create jobs and sustain the ones we have. Time and time again, South Africans have taken destiny into their own hands, creating products that the rest of the world wanted to buy. See, the world remembers about us, but we sometimes forget. But it's time for change. Let's all buy local. It's game time. Zanzi.
Local is lekker.
Everyday decisions shape our future.
Thank you very much. Now it gives me great pleasure to invite, I almost said to invite onto the stage. So I have to rephrase that. To invite on screen our friend, Tony, who is the MD of OBC Group. Tony, I can hardly wait to hear, what you have to share with us today. You do great things, with your product and your association with Proudly South African. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you this morning. Welcome, Tony. Thanks.
Hi, Happy. Hope I'm live now and everyone can see me. Happy, thanks for the introduction. It's really a privilege to work with Proudly South Africa, and it's actually us who feel quite humbled that we can participate in growing suppliers and growing a supplier network. So certainly from our side, OBC being quite a unique position in that our core offering is in the food products. And you'll see, I've got a couple of videos to share just now, and you'll see a bit of a snapshot of some of our stores. So really, we're kind of in the butchery business, but we more than a butchery because we focus on essential foodstuffs, serving in our stores that we merchandise and serving our communities. So largely, our core offering is basic foodstuff, and to a large extent, it's what we talk about farm to fork. In terms of that cycle and that chain, in terms of providing essential foodstuff at great quality and convenient price to our customers. And that creates unique opportunities, not only to use South African suppliers, but certainly to assist new companies, new startups that come up, where we provide them a platform, if it's a good product, where we can provide the platform for them to launch products. So it's been actually a unique privilege for us to do that. So I've done a little presentation to share with you. So I'm hoping that I get it right from a technical perspective. And right. All right, I hope you can all still hear me. So as I said, I explained a little bit about our business. The reality is that we do face economic challenges. It doesn't really matter how we got here. We can all theorize about that. The fact is that we're here. Yes, we could have done things better. Absolutely, we could have done a lot of things better. The reality is that it's a situation that we find ourselves in, and what we need to focus more on is how do we trade ourselves out of this situation. Certainly, COVID didn't help us, but it's not like we were doing things 100% right back then anyway. So certainly the current economic climate has put us under pressure. And even more reason why business as usual is simply not an option. It must be a business priority that we focus on not only growing South African suppliers, but growing new startup companies and really creating a position where we can grow. I mean, for all our sakes, we all operate in South Africa, and it's in our joint priorities, and it's a priority for all of us to grow our business. So certainly in terms of the retail and manufacturing sector, that we are significant contributors to the economy as an industry and play a positive role in the lives of millions of South African citizens. We represent a sector which employs probably the most amount of people in the country as a sector. And of course, localization is an absolutely important component for us. as I said, we do understand that there's significant economic challenges facing our country. And the fact is that business as usual simply isn't an option, like I said before. And we need to secure the future prosperity of South Africa and certainly change our struggling economy. So certainly embracing localization is a priority for all business. It's an investment that's expected to give returns while also contributing to the achievement of sustainable development goals and achieving a better and more sustainable future for all of us, quite frankly. In addition, through a multiplier effect, community upliftment will benefit. In light of this, the move to localization must take a people-centered conduct, consumer protections, and a careful practice with globing price. So the reality is that we are in a competitive environment. We do need to create opportunities and that are sustainable in terms of, and these are certainly in our game, we do come across them quite often. And I've used one example, which I see that Makamisa has also got a video following on this. And this is a group of people that we met through Proudly South Africa that actually enthused me. As a chain, engaging with the team at Makamisa was really inspiring. Not only did they have a great product, not only did they position it uniquely, but they got a fantastic production facility. And it was a privilege for us to be able to assist them in, I think, as far as I understand, OBC was the first shelves that the product actually arrived on. And it is a fantastic product. I mean, in all honesty, besides the fact that we like the team and like the production facilities, at the end of the day, it's got to be a great product to put on our shelves. At the end of the day, no retailer wants anything sitting on their shelves that doesn't turn quickly, as then it just costs you rental space. So this is a product we're launching now. We've been working quite aggressively with the team and merchandising it and promoting it in the stores. And we're hoping to see great success coming out of it. So this is just a little bit of a promotion we put behind of it, which we've done through all our stores. So just to give you an idea of the importance of actually backing your product, and it's pointless putting it on shelf if you don't actually invest and promote it to your, promote it to your consumer. You know, you don't want to be the world's best kept secret. You certainly want to shout loud and get your product off the shelves.
Whether you like your food flaming hot or just hot nyan, you can now add now flavor to all your meals. Get these great tasting, loudly African relish flavors from Makamisa Foods. Now available at OBC. OBC and Makamisa Foods are proudly South African companies. Buy local, support local, save jobs. Whether you like your food.
Apologies for that. So you'll see that at the end of every commercial we do, and almost at the end of everything we do display proudly our Proudly South African links, and we highlight the importance of buying local in order to protect jobs in the country and obviously to grow our economy. It is exceptionally important. So on that note, even with Makamisa, and as I say, at the moment we're busy with a couple of other suppliers as far as flavored water. And as I said to you earlier on, you know, in terms of the farm to fork practice, you know, sometimes we think of farm to fork as only perishable product, whether it's red meat or poultry or anything like that. But certainly things like whether it comes in a packet or a can, if it's food, it's started in a farm or in a production plant. So there's plenty of opportunities for us to apply our minds and see how we can make it sustainable. Now, certainly I mentioned before as the consumer goods, even as the Consumer Goods Council, they've certainly taken the seriously, of which we are part of. And all the major retailers have embraced the priority of localization. So even as a council, we're setting up working groups to see how we can even cooperate in a way to grow local supply. So there is, in this process, obviously we've got to be careful with regulations and certainly with labor issues as well. We've got to make sure that we have compliance processes, ethics and conduct. Obviously in terms of consumer protection, where it's got to be fantastic products, and I do believe South Africa is in a position to actually outproduce most of the countries certainly in terms of food stuff of international companies. We've certainly got the standards, we've got the know-how, we've got the ability to do it. And of course, we've got to keep in mind global pricing. I mean, especially in industries like clothing, where it's always an issue. And of course, we've got to be wary of and conscious in competition law. So even where, as an industry, we want to collaborate, we do want the involvement of the experts in terms of competition law, just to make sure that when we working together in terms of assisting collectively as an industry to buy certain raw materials for production, that we're not infringing on any competition laws. So we are enthusiastic about localization. We believe that processes need to be approached in a realistic way, avoiding the rules which become unjustified barriers to trade, which damage developing country suppliers. And any situation with much increased prices in an unsustainable way for consumers already suffering, not only with a weak economy, but certainly with COVID. And an economy that desperately needs to get out of its recessionary mode. We need to take account regional trade and commitments under the Africa Free Trade Agreement. I mean, this week I was very encouraged to actually have been part of the Sugar Master Plan, which is fantastic in terms of its efforts. But we have to be cautious as we approach this, and this is the Sugar Master Plan is really a commitment to start looking at how we can make sure that as much local sugar is used. We've got to be cautious of any kind of trade agreements we've got with our neighbors. And of course, we also have to be cautious and sensitive to, as an example, what would that do to the economy of Eswatini, where sugar is such a huge component of the economy. So we have to be cautious as we go forward in terms of how we approach these. But certainly in the discussions we've had, as far as localization as an industry, as you'll see on the screen, there is a lot of opportunity which we are currently exploring to see how we can get to ensure that South African products are used in this process. And if you go through them, it's actually also quite exciting. If I think of certainly in the franchise space, which we also in that franchise space, it's actually been quite encouraging to see brands like McDonald's that their local content already is well above 90%, and it's actually amazing to see a brand like that actually leading the discussion on sunflower seed and seed oil and how we can use local products and working with local producers to get the right spec that they need as an international brand. And not only that, but also involving other brands in the sector to make sure that so that's been very encouraging from our side. You'll see, as I've mentioned, the Sugar Master Plan, which has been exciting. There's also a Poultry Master Plan in place. Certainly from our side, as a brand, over 90% of our products are South African products. In the poultry, we're also very pro-South African. All our poultry that's packed for us locally is proudly, it's proudly South African, so it carries the proudly South African logo. So certainly in terms of the poultry sector, we're about 80 to 85% local product. We do buy a little bit of the brown meat sometimes coming in from overseas, and that really is because of price points and availability at times. So, and we really use that just to top up locally, and we in a situation where we have to buy that because otherwise sometimes it is cheaper than local products. So if we don't participate in that, then certainly our competitors do, so we have to be competitive in certain cuts. But certainly in terms of opportunity in the poultry environment, I mean, we find ourselves having to import things like chicken feet, chicken hearts, and that type of thing because there just isn't enough supply in the country. So those are issues that we also look forward to working together with the trade ministries to see how we can more and more use local products. Certainly from an OBC brand, we are very proudly South African. We grew out of South Africa. We actively compete in the space that the multinationals do. And I think, if I may humbly say so myself, I think we do a pretty good job. And the exciting stuff for us is that, we're still opening 2 more stores this year. We've got 30 more to open next year. So that's exciting times. So as a business, I always encourage people to focus on the positive. And certainly as proud South African brands, we certainly cannot focus on the negativity that's around us. We have no alternative but to work hard to grow our economy. And we have no alternative but to work hard and grow our communities and get more people into jobs. It's heartbreaking to hear that the unemployment rate has grown so exponentially, and all our businesses are going to suffer. It doesn't matter what cycle in the production chain you are in, whether you're a national retailer or you're a producer of a product that's on those shelves. The reality is if we don't work collectively and we don't collaborate in terms of getting our economy going, there just simply isn't going to be any money to spend to buy products off our shelves. Certainly in our case, we've been a little bit more fortunate in that we do supply basic food stuff. So that is important. But in this environment, certainly as the Consumer Goods Council, we're actually going to start getting working groups going and looking at each of these sectors and see how we can use more local product. So we are in the process of finalizing a local product list and agreeing on the industry commitments and targets. And that, of course, is without specifying quotas at the moment. Establish implementation and reporting procedures, including timelines and performance measures. At the end of the day, all the goodwill, and I think all of us in South Africa, in one way or another, have seen lots of talk and sometimes no action. So we've got to put ourselves under pressure on how we're going to deliver on these. And of course, we are actively identifying supply chain development strategies for sustainability, job creation, and skills development. Of course, there's going to be challenges and risks, and as an industry, we need to agree on risk mitigation initiatives, and we need to quantify the extent to which the identified products can contribute to economic development. Look at the competitiveness relating to global pricing of the item or component materials, and consider the adjustments of BE targets to reflect the implementation of the above. The reality is, as I said earlier on, I really don't like to spend too much time debating on how we got into the situation. There's local circumstances, there's international circumstances. There's just so much that's beyond our control that as a company, as a proud South African, as someone who really believes in the potential of our people in our country, it's time now really just to refocus, re-energize, do a little bit. And as I often tell my franchisees, yes, there's a bit of chaos, but I do believe that where there's a little bit of chaos, there's opportunity. And as I say to all our franchisees, if we create one more job, it impacts on a number of people, and we've done our bit to contribute to our economy. So certainly from our side, we're very proud that we can still be opening stores in our economy, and that there is opportunities for us to grow. And with that, hopefully comes more shelf space to grow our suppliers with us. Certainly OBC being one of the smaller retailers, there's a number of products today that are on national shelves that started out on shelves like ours, where we've given them the opportunity to try a product. At the end of the day, we are smaller and nimble, and we don't have a big structure. We can agree on a product, have it in all our stores within a week, and have it on national press within a couple of days and try it. As one of my buyers is famous for saying, put it out there for risk of selling. So that's really our approach to business. We are South African, and we're very proud that we compete as a South African company very competitively with international brands, and that we've got an opportunity still to grow. And for us, that's the exciting part. Not only when we open stores do we literally empower people getting into their own business, and obviously provide them all the support of what a good franchise model should be. And we're creating entrepreneurs in that regard. But an exciting component for me when we open the stores is I just love to see our teams and our staff and people smiling that they're gainfully employed and doing something that they're proud of and involved in the brand that excites them. So that to me is just really heartwarming when you open up a stores and you've managed to employ 30, 40 more people. And as South African companies, we need to make that difference, and we must never underestimate that difference. Like I say, even if you create an opportunity, we create one more job or one more success, that's something we cannot lose focus. More than ever, we do need to pull together and become prouder and achieve what we need to do. Thank you.
At OBC, we know that supporting local will give our economy a chance to thrive. From supporting local street vendors who shop at our stores for the best bulk deals, to selling unique locally made products in our stores, to even using local talent for our commercials. We know that when our customers buy local and we support local, we save jobs. As a member of Proudly SA, we are excited to be actively involved in making sure that we buy local to stimulate job creation, as it is one of the pillars of the National Development Plan. OBC believes in supporting local brands and shares a commitment to uplift and promote economic change and progress.
It's game time, Zanzi.
OBC, Better Butchery. OBC is a proudly South African franchise. Buy local, support local, save jobs.
Thank you. It was a privilege to share the stage with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tony. I'm so impressed, the creativity with your commercial at the end, how you've incorporated all the messages, and how was that something that that OBC also got involved in during Heritage Month. We've done great things together. And you're right, you said, in your closing comments, Tony, that it's time to refocus and re-strategize exactly what the president said in his economy recovery plan announcement, where he said, Kinako, which then speaks to exactly what we say as Proudly South African when we say it is game time to refocus and rethink our loyalty to South African products. Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you for your invaluable contribution to this discussion. I do have a question or two for you, but I'll when we get to the Q's and A's, we'll tackle it. Without further ado, may I then now ask the technical team to please quickly help us by playing a quick testimonial by recording from Makamisa Foods, which will then tie in nicely with what Tony has just shared with us. Thanks, technical.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Terence Pukane Niduma, co-founder and managing director of Makamisa Foods. Makamisa was established back in 2016, February, by Umzile and Gomo, my wife. And since then, we have been making industrialist program, of which the IDC and the DTI invested about close to 60 million in the project to set up the sauce manufacturing facility. And since then, we have managed to take the brand into various channels, food services, the supermarket, and today I want to talk about OBC. OBC are the proudly members of Proudly SA. They are also members of the Consumer Goods Council. So we met back in 2019 with OBC at around November during the annual summit held by the Consumer Goods Council. And the conversation started then between obviously the top ranks of OBC and myself. Thereafter, obviously it was around November, and into the new year, we're preparing to list with OBC. And COVID happened in March, and there was a delay in terms of making sure that this brand is available on the shelves of OBC. Nonetheless, nothing was lost because we had some few gaps to close during the period of COVID. Came June 2020, we ran production specifically for OBC, and today I can proudly inform the listeners and the viewers that Makamisa brand, especially talking about Relish specifically because it is the one that is available on OBC stores nationwide. We've got Nyana, which is our mild relish. We've got Nga, which is our medium flavor. And lastly, we've got Gel, which is our hot flavor. And today, as I'm doing this interview, we are busy with our promotions across 4 stores. We are in Matresville, Sinawane, Fosloras, and Maukeng, Kroonstad. So immediately after this interview, I'm headed to all those stores because I'm an entrepreneur, so I have to be on the ground to ensure that the customers interact the way we want with the brand and take feedback and then take it back to management. Yeah, so it has really, this collaboration between Makamisa and OBC has really benefited us in a big way, in the sense that immediately others, supermarkets or retailers, let me be correct to say, retailers, major retailers, immediately they saw that we stand a good chance to be possibly on their shelves after they saw our ad that we put together with OBC. We can safely say we will be available on the shelves of one of the top retailers from January 2020 as a result of this platform offered by OBC. So we truly, truly appreciate OBC's confidence in us and committing in the promise of supporting SMMEs, especially those come from disenfranchised communities. Yes.
Thank you so much to Terence from Makamisa. Tony, I can only hope that you have a broad smile on your face, given the difference that you've clearly made as a business to the likes of an SMME like Makamisa. Big ups to you, your colleagues, for walking the talk. And making a difference, really, honestly, big ups to you. Yeah. And then it also gives me great pleasure now to welcome on screen Karen, who is Karen is Marketing and Strategic Projects Manager at RCL Foods. Karen, welcome. Looking forward to your presentation. Thanks.
Thank you. So I'm thrilled to be here today as a representative of a food service consortium behind the One Meal Many Thanks campaign. And in considering the theme for today, I decided to demonstrate the role that partnership can play to support and protect and transform our supply chains. So whilst our context is the food service industry, I do believe that the principles are universal. And so I hope our story resonates with all of you, whether you are a link in that supply chain or indeed its end consumer. So in the early days of lockdown, we at RCL Foods had already set up an internal task team to see what we could do to help resurrect the ailing hospitality channel, which we service in our Food Partners division. But we realized that really to have a truly meaningful and tangible impact, that we would need to walk our talk and actually partner up to pool resources. But as it transpired, a lot of other food service players had exactly the same idea. The recent relaxation of the Competition Commission regulations had prompted all of us to think beyond the normal paradigms. So it only took a few phone calls, and in April, our consortium was born. An industry-first collaboration between Bidfood and the food service divisions of McCain, ourselves RCL Foods, Tiger Brands, and Unilever. But why did we get together? In support of his newly launched Pay in 30 campaign, Adrian Gore was recently quoted as saying that SMEs have really been the hardest hit by lockdown. So whilst our industry does include chain groups and the big names in food and logistics and hospitality, it also includes thousands of smaller independent restaurant outlets, owner-run businesses, those very SMEs that were referred to. So whilst we are all under immense pressure, we realized that with compromised cash flow and bills to pay, it really would be the smaller businesses that would struggle the most to keep their restaurant doors open. But beyond that, beyond the business owners, was also a shared insight amongst the consortium members that our supply chain is far-reaching. So according to our calculations, over 1.8 million people have their jobs and livelihoods at risk. So in no particular order, think of the chef, the cook, to the waitron, the car guard, the cleaner, the grocer, the barista, the fishmonger, the butcher, the packaging guy, the truck driver, to the farmer, and to the thousands of our factory workers and employees. Most of these South African jobs So we believed, as the bigger guys, that it was really incumbent on us to speak on behalf of this entire supply chain and to play our part to protect all of the livelihoods that were at stake. So our goal was twofold. We needed to restore restaurants to safe operations and resurrect consumer demand. Our first priority was around restoring outlets to safe operations, and a lot of work was invested behind the scenes, working with various representative industry bodies to help agree on and to circulate appropriate safety directives, and to launch the Travel Safe, Eat Safe app with track and tracing tools for restaurants. So in parallel with this was also the work that we'd started on our consumer campaign, which we later labeled One Meal, Many Thanks. And the goal here was really to rally consumers to get those bums back into seats. But since we didn't want to promote irresponsible behavior, we adopted a phased approach into a stronger call to action and to drive demand. So we were very fortunate to have partnered in the early days with the Hardy Boys agency based in Durban. And we realized that actually very few people grasp the extent of the supply chain that I have described to you. And actually that the best thing that we could do was to put a face to it and to the many livelihoods that it sustains. Because when we do this, we know, and we can resonate with this, that we start to care and we can start to see the impact that just that one meal ordered will have. That the understanding that we are acknowledged and supported really will tug at our heartstrings and summons our spirit of Ubuntu. So phase one of our campaign was all about this. It was all about giving a face to the people behind a meal. And we came up with the concept of a thank you. So really it was to demonstrate that every meal is appreciated by many, many people, whether it be a dine-in meal ordered in a restaurant, whether it be a drive-through or whether it be a takeaway order. So we really just wanted to bring to life this queue of people, this supply chain that was so, so grateful for support. I'd like to just share with you our video, which I believe really brings this to life and which was shared on all of our digital platforms.
Thank you.
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 You'd be surprised how many people benefit with every meal you order.
So through our extensive networks as well, we were also able to call on chefs and customers to help echo our thank yous. And we were fortunate enough to have over 20 of the country's top chefs actually recording their own thank you videos for us to share on our social media platforms. And some of our customers also helped to amplify our message on all of their various touch points. So now as we progressed from this message of gratitude to the second phase of our campaign, we were starting to look for a stronger call to action. And in October, when we saw the It's Game Time in Zanzi commercial that Happy shared with you earlier, we really did see that there was remarkable synergy here. And we got in touch with Happy to see if she would be prepared to let us join this rally cry and also to work with us to help spread our message. And we really are truly grateful to Happy and to her team for heeding our call and coming together to make us stronger together, to help get our new message out there, which is around trying to incentivize South Africans to tag their favorite restaurants, the friends that they want to join them, to get out and eat out.
Love, what's for dinner? Let's go out for a change?
Good idea. We should enter the 1 Meal Many Thanks competition.
The 1 Meal Many Thanks competition?
Yes, we can win a 1,000 Rand voucher to spend at our favorite restaurant.
1,000 Rand? I already know where to go when we win.
To enter, we go to Facebook or Instagram, tag our favorite sit-down restaurant, our friends, and hashtag 1 Meal Many Thanks. Easy.
So dinner. I'll make a reservation at our spot.
Amazing. 1 Meal Many Thanks is an initiative to thank South Africans for their support of the restaurant industry. Follow us on Facebook. T's and C's apply.
Love.
So when I say that we came together to pool resources, I'm talking beyond the financial sense, but also in terms of that collective experience and services. And it was expertise that really just translated collectively into decades of career experience. A number of our people in our consortium having long-spanning careers within food service. But it also translated into a significant investment of time, with many of our team members working on this particular project after normal working hours. And as with our chef community, though, we were also very lucky to be able to lobby the endorsement of many of our customers. And then further to that, with the great partnership that we had with our media partners, with our creative agencies, and more recently with Proudly South Africa, you'll see that we've really managed to grow reach far beyond what we would have been able to achieve in our own individual capacities. And to date, we know that we've reached in excess of 10 million South Africans with our One Meal Many Thanks message. So it's hard to really, even though we have achieved great results, it's really hard to quantify the extent of this impact at this immediate point in time. But what we can be certain of is that our impact has been much greater than it would have been had we decided to continue working alone. So if anything, it's my personal hope that the legacy of One Meal Many Thanks and this collaboration will be that it's proof that you can pull together a team of very different, very outspoken individuals, people who've never met in person, who've only met each other on the other side of a screen, and to really work together for the sake of the common good. So it's my sincere hope that this collaboration paves the way for future initiatives, industry initiatives of this nature, to help move South Africa forward. We know it's going to be a tough journey, and I truly believe that partnership is going to get us ahead. I also hope that as you sit listening to this webinar, that you're inspired to think of partnership and how perhaps you can spearhead partnership initiatives to transform your supply chains or to uplift a local business. Or perhaps just as a consumer, the final link in our supply chain, that you will remember that every meal you order has a ripple effect across our society, and that perhaps you will make that dinner reservation tonight. So in closing, I would like to ask Nadia, the technical team, to play a heartfelt video that the team at Wicked Donuts recorded and shared with us in recognition and support of One Meal Many Thanks. I really think that their video too brings the message home. Thank you.
When you buy a Wicked Donut, you help Brenda to look after herself and her family. You've given Msizi a job after unemployment of more than 6 months. You're helping Faith to put her sister through school. You're helping Lancelot to take care of his family and save for his studies. You're helping Petunia to pay for her father's health care. You're helping Aneli to put food on the table. You help Sneh to support her little boy and girl. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. When you support a small business, an actual person does a little happy dance. Thank you for supporting local.
Shoo, Karen, what a powerful parting shot in that last video. So there's many Msizis out there, many Faiths out there, and many Petunias out there whose lives can be impacted positively by just the one meal that you purchase as a consumer. I mean, they took us through the reality of somebody's taking care of their school fees, somebody's taking care of their father's healthcare, somebody's taking care of putting, food on their table for their family. That is such a hard-hitting message, if anything. Karen, thank you is just 2 words. Thank you, 2 words. But in my view, the most powerful towards. Thank you so much for being a friend of the campaign and making a difference in the work that we try to put out there as Proudly South African. You and your colleagues are just a movement. Your campaign is a movement and a force. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please stay with us if you can. I think there's quite a few comments that are nice comments that I would like to read out to you shortly. Spay. So Spay is from SAB. He is the marketing manager for Casa Laga at AB InBev. Are you ready, Spay? I feel like I should say that you were born ready.
I feel like you know this already.
I you were born ready. At any given time, you are ready to hit the ground running. Talk to us.
I'm most definitely one of those people who is ready in season and out of season. I stay ready to throw down. Thank you so much, Makumalo, for inviting me, for inviting us to this amazing and necessary dialogue. It's super duper exciting, particularly being Castle Lager, which is a 100% homegrown brand. And firstly, from an SAB perspective, which is the macrocosm, before we get into the microcosm, we're really big on entrepreneurship through our supply chain and beyond. And we've got three main key focus areas on there. Number one is localization. Number two is women. And number three is youth. So localization is obviously in that more than 95% on everything that SAB purchases comes from local suppliers. We manufacture everything from our country. Our raw materials are completely 100% South African in that perspective. We understand that as it pertains to women, that when women are able to work, economies will grow. And there's a MasterCard Index of Women Entrepreneurs report that revealed that in South Africa, the early stage entrepreneurial activity in women dropped by more than 15.5% in 2018, which is really scary. So we're really committed to, in our supply chain and in our procurement process, to prioritize women-owned businesses so that we can begin to play our part to shift that. And then obviously we understand that the youth unemployment rate in this country continues to be something that is really, really shocking. And it averaged from about 52%, 52.84% from 2013 till 2019, reaching an all-time high in the third quarter of last year. And you know that in a pandemic year, it can't be better. And so we also do prioritize that in our entrepreneurship programs. We make sure that we target young people. We ensure that they are a part of our plans and that they also have a place within our supply chain. So I just wanted to say from an SAB perspective, that is where we're at. But I do want to take some time to introduce you to this brand that I've fallen in love with for the past 3 years that I've been working on it, and that is our national beer, Castle Lager. Here's a video of our manifesto.
Gather round, my friends. Let me tell you about our beer. A beer brewed from the fabric of a nation, made from its finest homegrown ingredients, brewed to satisfy a South African thirst. Somewhat dry, somewhat bitter, never sweet. The taste that stood the test of time. Castle has been an icon of South African togetherness since 1895, and we continue to believe in the dream of a rainbow nation, a nation that celebrates diversity, woven together by the power of friendship and inclusivity. It is this that binds us together. It is this that makes us feel like we belong. And as the proud sponsor of our 3 national teams, we feel the passion of the fans and inspire the players to greatness. Because these are the moments that unite us like nothing else can. Through victory and defeat, we will always be the proud sponsor of the South African spirit. Castle Lager believes that the power of friendship can transform a nation, that the moments shared over our beer are the moments that bring us together. This is why we will continue to break the barriers that divide us and build the platforms that unite us. This is what we live for. This is what we fight for. Castle Lager believes in the spirit of togetherness, the power of a nation united.
And so that is who we are. That is what we stand for. That is the core of our fiber. And as Castle Lager specifically, one of our communication platforms, one of our platforms is the fact that we are 100% homegrown as Castle Lager. We celebrate this unique angle and we reaffirm ourselves as the beer from here, a beer for us, by us, our national beer. And we are absolutely committed to our country. That in our latest, we've just done a pack upgrade and a refresh to our look and feel, and we are proud to carry the proudly South African logo on our pack. So when you have a Castle Lager, you know that we stand for the values that proudly South Africa and the nation really do stand for in this place. And so here's what our homegrownness looks like. We literally have water from our 7 local breweries. We have hops from George. We have barley from Caledon. We have maize from Bloemfontein. We make our cans in Durban, my hometown. We have labels in Paarl. We make crowns in Alberton and glass in Germiston. And so truly it is a nationwide operation to bring every single element of Castle Lager, from the ingredients, the beer, the brewing, the packaging, all of it to our consumers nationwide. And of course, throughout SADC, we are a brand, although we are homegrown in South Africa, our reach and our influence spans as far up as Tanzania on the east. So we are a SADC brand as well, which is really, really awesome. So like I said, we are born and brewed South African. We are 100% homegrown, and we've had the same recipe since 1895. We are the only local brand that has been in continuous production ever since that time. We turned 125 years this year, which I'll talk about shortly. As you know, we source all of our ingredients locally, and our label, our new label, even says South Africa's national beer. That's the claim that we want to make. And we also support South African sport. We are the proud sponsor of all 3 of our major national sporting code teams, Bafana Bafana, the Springboks, and the Proteas. And we've made a serious investment into that because we believe, as Nelson Mandela had said, that there is nothing that can unite South Africans like sport. And from a marketing perspective, we actually do have a policy that we're very strictly adhering to, that all marketing materials must be procured from South Africa. Our agency partners are South African. And we've got Black-owned agencies. We've got female-owned agencies who are our agency partners. And that's really, really exciting. So in celebrating 125 years of Castle, it is celebrating 125 years of an investment made in this country. And one can look at this throwback of all of our past packs that have really showing that we really are the brand and the taste that has stood the test of time. And these are also symbolic of the countless thousands of men and women who have touched this brand throughout 125 years in this country to create jobs and to help lives in this country. And so I was talking to you about our new CI upgrade and our new pack. So it's slight cosmetic changes. So the Castle at the top, as you can see, is liberated. We've got our new medals. We've still got the Charles Glass signature. Again, the liberated Castle, speaking to a legacy of excellence. Proudly showing that we're 100% homegrown, having our homegrown medals there, speaking of our South Africanness, the barley, the hops, the maize, the claim as South Africa's national beer. And then, of course, as you turn the bottle around, you will see that, number one, there's a story about where we source our ingredients, and of course, our proudly South African logo is at the back there as well, which is pretty exciting to celebrate that homegrownness. We've also done these limited edition t-shirts to celebrate the tens of thousands of men and women who work on our brand, from our breweries to our farms, to our offices, to our supply chain, the truck drivers. You know, Castle Lager is such a huge brand that we impact 10,000 jobs simply by ourselves as Castle Lager, and we wanted to make sure that people could understand that we're more than just a beer. We are tens of thousands of men and women all across South Africa who come together to really make this South African magic happen. And so these are available on our shop site, and it just celebrates our homegrownness. We also have a new television commercial, which I would like to play for you, which you would have maybe seen because it has just recently, I think about 2 weeks ago, started flighting.
Usisigeleli Afrika Malupanganyisu pondolwayo Izwaeli tangazo yetu
Castle Lager, born and brewed in South Africa for over 125 years.
And I think that TVC also speaks to the power of our campaign with the hashtag, "The future is local." We really, really believe in emphasizing that. And it's been a powerful conversation that we've been having with our consumers, particularly on social media channels, where we've really been engaging around how homegrown makes sense and how coming out of this horrendous pandemic, which has obviously negatively impacted us as well, and a lot of people in our supply chain. Castle Lager has 10,000 jobs, but in totality, SAB, across all of our brands, is about 250,000 jobs and livelihoods that have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. And so we believe that at a time like this, it makes economic sense. It is significant that every South African, from a consumer, from an individual to a corporate, to an entrepreneur, to a business, it really embraces the idea of being intentional about supporting local as we seek to rebuild our economy right now. And we believe very much in the power, the unifying power of our sports sponsorship properties. It's one of those beautiful things that makes South Africans unique in that we are diverse, and yet sport is one of those things where people from completely different backgrounds will embrace each other in a moment of victory. And we want to look at how we can sustain that sense of being proudly South African, bringing those 90 or so minutes, depending on the sporting code, into our everyday lives and inspiring and igniting South Africans to really live out those kinds of values on a daily basis. And I want to share a case study and one of the latest things that we're doing right now within that space.
Last year, over 500 racism-related cases were reported to the South African Human Rights Commission.
Excuse me, I'll start again. That was weird.
Last year, over 500 racism-related cases were reported to the South African Human Rights Commission.
And so in doing that and bringing that jersey to life, I'm sure some of you have seen that. I'm sure some of you have that jersey. That was absolutely 100% locally sourced and procured. So when you saw people wearing that, reminding us of our most united moments in sporting history, it also spoke to the power of what we could do for local suppliers to help them to partner with us on campaigns that big and that scalable. And so the future is local is something that is really, really powerful and significant for us in all that we do. Most recently, we have just announced our proud sponsorship of the Castle Lion series, which is really going to be another opportunity for us to bring the nation together and create more opportunities within our supply chain for procurement to make more people be able to prosper from this amazing sponsorship. And here is how we launched it with this video. And so that is the Castle Lion series. The British and Irish Lions tour every 12 years to South Africa, every 4 years to the rest of the Southern Hemisphere. And next year presents a really powerful opportunity. In fact, before I came onto this webinar, I was actually presenting to our sales and marketing teams in a collective conference, talking about what it is that we're going to be doing from a regional level, because something of this scale and magnitude, where we potentially are going to be having upwards of about 300,000 people coming into South Africa, is not just about us. It's about the power of that igniting or reigniting South African tourism. It's about the power of what we can do through our activations within our communities, our townships, our taverns, our clients, our pubs, our sports bars and things like that, where people gather to watch our sport. It's about what we can do through merchandising that happens through campaigns like this that empowers local businesses to thrive. It's around the vendors that we utilize to bring our creative and unifying ideas to life. The future is local, and this localization is very much at the core of who we are, and it is a commitment that we make as a brand for the past 125 years, and definitely one that we wish to stand for the next 125 years, because as I've said and I've stated, and as I've given you reasons to believe from a corporate and a brand perspective and through some of our campaigns, the future is indeed local. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Spain. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm going to tell you for free. We're going to borrow or to steal, I don't know which phrase you prefer the most, the line, the future is local, because
I must borrow it because we've done the IP work on it.
You've done the IP work on it. But we cousins, we family.
We are absolutely cousins. So absolutely, it's not stealing when we're happy for you to use it. Yes, it's such a necessary, internalizable, tangible point of understanding for South Africans at all levels and from all dynamics and dimensions of society to really internalize and begin to live out. It's a powerful, powerful.
It's a powerful line. The future is local. I couldn't agree with you more. So we're nearer to the end of the presentation of the session, but don't go away, please, because there's quite a few nice comments that I want to read out, just after this testimonial that we're going to see now. And you're right, Spey, we all, at least I have the jersey, we all had the jersey. I can't remember the part where I had to buy the beer to get the jersey, but I think of that part. All I know is that I've got the jersey. But my favorite is my hero Faf with his speedo. Amen. That will live with South Africans for a long time. It's for a lekker. Local is lekker, for sure.
Very
right?
much so.
Local is lekker. Thank you so much. So we this is the end of our, this is the last testimonial rather before the end of our discussion today. And before we take some Q&As, technical, have you got the testimonial from Cavalli Chemicals Group? And it'll really tie up, this testimonial rather will tie up what Spear has shared with us, because Cavalli is one of the suppliers for AB InBev, so it'll really just tie up nicely what Spear shared with us. Technical. Can we have the quick video, please, by Cavalli, pre-recorded? Thank you.
I am one of the co-founders and also an executive director for Cavalli Chemicals. Cavalli Chemicals manufactures hygiene and sanitation chemicals and also adhesives, water treatment chemicals, and also chain lubrication. Our manufacturing facility is based in Harrismith in a special economic zone. And we started operating in 2014, so we have been in operations for 6 years now. Our journey with SAB started way back in 2016 when we were supplying hygiene and sanitation chemicals end-to-end to 2 of their breweries in the country. And in 2016, we also started engaging with the technical and also the procurement team at SAB Breweries because they were embarking on a buy local. And so they wanted us to assist them in sourcing from us our adhesives as well. So when we started, before we had our own facility, we were supplying them with the adhesives from our sister company in Croatia, and the technical team at SAB assisted us to get our manufacturing facility up and ready so that we can manufacture our own adhesives locally in with the correct standards and the standards that are satisfying for them. So we have been in that journey with SAB since 2016, and SAB had committed to start sourcing from us about 20% of the local need for adhesives from us, and also going into 2025 and giving us even up to 50% of the volumes for adhesives volumes for the African continent. So we have enjoyed the partnership with SAB for a number of years now, and this partnership has helped us as Cavalli to grow from a company that only employed 8 people when we started, and we are proud to say we now employ over 70 people, and we also take on interns, between 15 to 20 interns a year that we train in different aspects of the company, be it in sales, be it in logistics, be it in the manufacturing facility itself, in engineering. So this partnership has really assisted us in terms of the employment figures. We are employing a lot of people from the local community of Harrismith. And with this partnership, we also got a company, a security company that looks after our facility, that also employs people locally, and they have about 6 people that they employ. So there is indirect employment that we have actually gained through this partnership. And as we grow with SAB and we grow our volumes with them, we have seen that buying local does indeed impact on the economy of the country and the much needed youth employment. because as you know, we've got high numbers of youth that are unemployed, and with us taking on the interns that we train in our facility, it assists them to get the necessary experience that they require, and it gets easier for them to go out there and look for employment. So buy local, isn't it good for our economy, and it is good for our youth, and we have seen great benefits as a company, and I think the local community where we are based has seen great benefits from this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the testimonial from Funeka from Kivali. Much appreciated. Thank you. We've come to the end of the session today. The most one of the most important we've had, with a lot of content, but very lighthearted as well. I think a lot of the presentations that we got from our speakers today, a lot of us who were listening in can resonate with it. And, it gave us a fuzzy feeling, so to speak, throughout the presentations that were made. It was really fantastic to be listening in and to be part of the session. I must say that, I've in terms of the questions and answers, I'm not too sure if, there's any questions from the audience that I'm not aware of, and for, to the team behind the scenes, if I'm not aware of any of the, questions, please make me aware. However, I've responded on the Q&A platform on the chat, to a few questions, where some of our, attendees wanted access to the presentations and, asking about membership and all of that. So I have been keeping an eye on this. There were two comments. The one was saying, all the presenters were just so inspirational, and inspired by, what they had to share with us. Celeste says, absolutely love the Kasalaga slot, inspirational, thank you, Hey. And she also says she will borrow the future is local line. You see, we all excited with
As
that
in
line.
you borrow, it's ours. It belongs to the nation.
Thank you so much. I think Tony had to step out of the conversation, but if he has, in his absentia, I just want to say thank you so much, Tony. Thank you that we can always rely on OBC. You always show up when we ask you to. And we look forward to rolling out we have a poultry or chicken campaign that we're rolling out for the festive season in the next day or two. And OBC is very much part of it. So we'll be on social media reminding South Africans to buy local chicken. And by the way, it's a pity that he's not here to hear this, but I wanted to say to her, we absolutely love the work that you guys are doing with our friend Dimpy Dimpopo. Come on, Nana. Buy local, do your thing. We love the work that OBC is doing with Dimpy. And the fact that he said that McDonald's, so my takeout amongst many today is that McDonald's local content is well above 90%. That's very interesting. That is really very interesting. That's going to inform my decision when the next time my children ask me to go buy them a burger from McDonald's. It's very, very interesting. So thank you to Tony and OBC. Karen, I did say to you earlier on that your campaign is a movement, a force. Thank you. As simple as that, 2 words, but the 2 of the most powerful words in my view. Thank you. And it's about the value chain behind the restaurant industry. you know, the difference that is made in all those people that you had in one of your commercial where they're taking care of business, taking care of school, taking care of healthcare, taking care of making sure that their families don't go to bed on an empty stomach. It's all of those things. A meal that I buy as a consumer makes a huge difference. The value chain, it's not only what we see when we sit in a restaurant. I'm an ex-restaurateur. I had a primi piatti at some point, so I have an appreciation of what goes on in that space. You know, the cook who's somebody who works in the scullery, somebody who works in the bar, somebody who set up the tables and prepare for breakfast the next day. The value chain, you know, the logistics, it's really such an incredible place and something good for us to support. And it just proves, Karen, that when we collaborate, we have a bigger impact, right? Most of us on this platform, other brands, speakers represented here, we all have a common agenda, all of us. We all have a common agenda, and the common agenda is to stand in solidarity, which you've demonstrated, Spare, with with all the campaigns you're doing around sports and all of that. You know, sports brings us together as South Africans. This time has brought us together as South Africans. The spirit of Ubuntu has kicked in, and I think your campaign, Karen, Thank You campaign, One Meal, Many Thanks, is really informed by that thought process as well. You know, so when we stand in solidarity and we hold hands and we do things together, we do great things. Spare, thank you so much for representing Casalaga and for sharing the journey with us. I feel like after I saw what you showcased in terms of your national tour, where you source the water, the barley, the crop, the bottling, I feel like I want to go on a tour. When life goes back to normal and we are beyond the pandemic.
I would love to invite you when we're able to in the new normal, Makhumalo. We actually do have a heritage tour that focuses specifically on the Western Cape leg of that, because you get to go to one of our farms. You also get to go to our Newlands Brewery in Cape Town, go through a tour, have some beer tasting. We'd love to have you in the new normal when we're able to do so safely.
And the Proudly South African PRT is online. I just threw them under the bus. So guys, you do know that when we go back to normal, we're on a tour because we have a credible voice and we want to tell your story for you. So I look forward to that. Oh, by the way, while you were speaking, I Googled you and now I know where you live. So you can't disappear, you can't run away. We will find you.
You'll find me in Eguruleni.
We'll find you. But thank you so much for sharing the story.
Thank you.
But last but not least, thank you to Terence from Makamisa, who's doing amazing things. It's really such a, as an entrepreneur myself, I always say nobody opens a business with an intention to fail. We all want to make it. And I respect the hustle, Makamisa's hustle. It's like they were told that they were not good enough at some point, and then their response was, we are coming for everything. Look at where they are now, supplying OBC amongst many, many other retailers. So it's a great thing. To see Funeka from Kivali, we've been to Kivali, by the way, on a bit of a tour. So we've been in that part of the country, and we have such an appreciation of the work that they do. Thank you for the testimonial. And we also want to say thank you to the delegates who joined us today. You chose to spend your time with us. You could have been anywhere, but you stuck in here and for the last an hour and a half or so. Thank you for being part of our audience today. And last but not least, Proudly South African team, you guys are the A team. You make things happen and we appreciate you so much. Thank you, everybody. We've come to the end of the session. Take care of yourselves. And I think we have a comment or a question. Let me not sleep on the job. Really exciting stuff, feeling proud and inspired, rather. Thank you to everybody. 100%, we're going to go on a tour with Casalaga when the time is opportune. Spare's energy, Spare, they say you were on a, you were on another level. somebody fell in love with your energy on the platform. Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate it. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.